A new generation has arrived, louder, prouder, and unapologetically authentic. Hollywood once belonged to secrets and silence, but in 2025, it belongs to them. The young gay stars who turned vulnerability into power and confidence into art. They aren't asking for space anymore, they're taking it. In today's countdown, we're celebrating the top 5 youngest gay stars taking over Hollywood in 2025. Kit Connor grew up before our eyes and became a symbol of quiet strength. Noah Schnapp transformed honesty into inspiration. Leo Woodall blurred the lines between classic charm and queer-coded allure. Nicholas Galitzine turned royal fantasy into reality. And Josie Totah redefined what it means to shine as a queer creator. They don't just represent the future, they are the future. Which of these rising icons inspires you the most? Comment below, and don't forget to subscribe for more queer stories redefining Hollywood. Kit Connor didn't just grow up on screen, he grew into himself. From the shy, soft-spoken teen in Heartstopper to one of Hollywood's most respected young actors, Kit's journey has been anything but simple. His face became a symbol of queer representation, but his story reveals something deeper, the cost of becoming that symbol too soon. When Heartstopper premiered, Kit was only 18, charming, grounded, and magnetic. The internet fell in love instantly. Fans celebrated his performance as Nick Nelson, the sweet rugby player discovering his sexuality. But what started as adoration quickly turned invasive. Strangers speculated about his private life, demanding answers, proof, and labels. It wasn't praise anymore, it was pressure. In 2022, after months of online scrutiny, Kit finally addressed it. "I'm bi," he said simply, not in a headline, not on a talk show, but in a single, exhausted post. It wasn't a moment of empowerment, it was a moment of survival. He wasn't coming out for himself, he was doing it to stop the noise. That's the cruel irony of modern fame, especially for young queer stars. Kit became both the hero and the sacrifice, the person fans celebrated and the person they pushed too far. But instead of letting it define him, he turned that pain into power. In 2025, Kit Connor is no longer the boy from Heartstopper. He's the man shaping his own narrative. He's taken control of his image, his career, and his voice. With new film roles in prestige dramas and indie projects, he's proving he's more than the character that made him famous. Directors call him disciplined, intuitive, fearless. Co-stars describe him as the quiet anchor on set, the one who brings calm to chaos. But what truly makes Kit magnetic isn't just talent, it's truth. He represents a generation that refuses to perform for approval. His interviews are careful but sincere, filled with gratitude and gentle rebellion. "I just want to be seen as an actor," he said recently, "not as a lesson." That single sentence struck a chord, honest, mature, and quietly defiant. Off-screen, he radiates the same grounded presence. No scandals, no overexposure. Just a young man learning to exist on his own terms. His style, once simple and boyish, has evolved. Tailored suits, soft curls, confident posture. He carries himself like someone who understands his worth but doesn't need to prove it. That, perhaps, is the sexiest kind of power there is. Kit Connor didn't take over Hollywood by shouting. He did it by surviving, by standing still while the world spun around him. He showed that growth isn't always loud. Sometimes it's quiet, deliberate, and stronger than fame itself. Because real influence isn't measured in likes or headlines. It's measured in the lives you make feel seen. And in 2025, no one embodies that truth more than Kit Connor, the boy who refused to break and became a man the world couldn't ignore. Noah Schnapp grew up in front of the world, a child star turned cultural mirror, navigating fame, identity, and adolescence all at once. For millions, he'll always be Will Byers, the soft-hearted boy from Stranger Things. But in 2025, Noah represents something bigger, a generation unafraid to name their truth, even when the world isn't ready for it. When Stranger Things exploded, Noah was barely a teenager. The role of Will, mysterious, emotional, misunderstood, mirrored his real life more than anyone realized. Fans dissected every glance, every line, wondering if Will was gay. They were right, and years later, so was Noah. But what no one saw was how much of himself he was pouring into that character long before he could say the words out loud. In 2023, Noah posted a simple TikTok. "I guess I'm more like Will than I thought." It was quick, quiet, and world-changing. There was no PR team, no announcement, no confetti, just honesty. And in that moment, millions of queer kids saw themselves reflected in him. It wasn't the spectacle of coming out that mattered. It was the simplicity. He wasn't asking for attention. He was claiming peace. What followed was something rare, pure love. Fans embraced him, co-stars supported him, and the media, for once, didn't make it a scandal. It felt different, genuine. A young man owning his truth without apology. "I finally feel free," he said later. That freedom became the core of everything Noah did next. Instead of chasing Hollywood excess, he pivoted, exploring business, education, and advocacy. He enrolled at the University of Pennsylvania, proving that brains and fame can coexist. He launched ventures with purpose, spoke about authenticity, and used his platform to discuss acceptance, not as a celebrity, but as a peer. And while many child stars fade, Noah's evolution made him magnetic. His new roles in indie cinema showcase a maturity far beyond his years. Gone is the timid boy. In his place stands a confident young man who moves with self-assurance, the kind that comes from surviving the pressure to be perfect. But what's most striking about Noah is his empathy. He doesn't posture, doesn't perform. He laughs easily, speaks sincerely, and treats fans with an openness that feels revolutionary in its simplicity. When asked how fame changed him, he smiled and said, "It didn't. I changed fame." In 2025, Noah Schnapp isn't just one of the youngest gay stars in Hollywood, he's one of its most grounded. He turned what could have been a headline into hope, transforming personal truth into public power. He showed that courage doesn't always roar. Sometimes it looks like a teenager smiling into a camera, saying quietly, "This is who I am." And in a world obsessed with image, Noah Schnapp's authenticity might just be the most beautiful thing of all. Leo Woodall is that rare kind of actor who doesn't just appear on screen. He lingers in your mind long after the credits roll. There's something about him, the gaze that feels both tender and dangerous, the voice that can shift from heartbreak to desire in a single line. In 2025, Leo isn't just a breakout British star. He's the man quietly redefining what queer-coded masculinity looks like. When The White Lotus Season 2 aired, Leo became an instant fascination. He wasn't the loudest character, but every moment with him felt alive. A mix of confidence, sensuality, and vulnerability that made audiences lean closer. Suddenly, the internet couldn't stop talking. "Who is this guy?" turned into, "Why does he feel so different?" His allure wasn't about muscles or machismo. It was energy, subtle, fluid, magnetic. Then came One Day, a performance that stripped away every layer of artifice. Leo played love not as performance but as surrender. Viewers were drawn to his quiet intensity, the kind that suggests there's always something more beneath the surface. That mystery became his trademark. Rumors swirled. Fans called him queer-coded perfection. Fashion editors called him the new face of emotional masculinity. Whether he's gay, straight, or somewhere in between almost stopped mattering, because Leo, by simply existing as he does, blurs the line beautifully. His interviews mirror that same duality. Confident, but careful. He speaks about love like an artist, not a celebrity. "What fascinates me about people," he once said, "is how we hide the most honest parts of ourselves." It's a line that could double as his artistic manifesto. Leo isn't trying to play the world's idea of a man. He's redefining it. One role, one look, one breath at a time. By 2025, Leo Woodall has become one of the most sought-after names in both Hollywood and high fashion. Prada, Loewe, and Saint Laurent all call. His campaigns are sensual, never showy. Soft eyes, parted lips, elegant stillness. He doesn't have to say he's desirable. He just is. And yet, there's something humble about him. While tabloids crave scandal, Leo stays silent, living quietly, working deliberately, staying grounded. He's the antithesis of the Hollywood ego. Instead of chasing fame, he chases feeling, and that's what makes him unforgettable. Queer audiences in particular have found something deeply resonant in Leo's presence. He doesn't label himself, but his energy, open, fluid, fearless, creates space for everyone who doesn't fit inside the box. He represents the new era of male beauty, emotional, intelligent, and free from definitions. Leo Woodall didn't need to shout to take over Hollywood. He just needed to show up as himself, mysterious, magnetic, and quietly revolutionary. Because sometimes the sexiest thing about a man isn't what he reveals. It's what he's brave enough to keep unspoken. Nicholas Galitzine was never supposed to become a queer icon. He started as the quintessential British heartthrob, tall, handsome, charming, and endlessly polite. But somewhere between royal fantasies and forbidden kisses, he became something much more powerful. The face of a new kind of masculinity, one that feels soft, sincere, and beautifully unafraid. When Red, White, and Royal Blue premiered, it wasn't just another streaming hit. It was a cultural moment. Nicholas's portrayal of Prince Henry, the closeted royal who falls in love with America's first son, captured hearts across the world. His performance was delicate yet commanding, full of longing, hesitation, and quiet strength. It wasn't about labels or sexuality. It was about love that dares to be tender. That was the turning point. When Hollywood realized that vulnerability could be its own form of power. What makes Nicholas so magnetic isn't just his looks, though they help. It's his duality. He can play the charming leading man, then pivot to raw, emotional depth in a single breath. His on-screen intimacy always feels real, never rehearsed. Fans called him the bisexual fantasy of modern cinema, while critics praised him for making desire human again. In interviews, Nicholas speaks about his work with humility and care. He often acknowledges the weight of representing queer love stories with authenticity, even as a straight actor. "I think love is universal," he said softly in a 2024 interview. "If we portray it with honesty, it belongs to everyone." It's that emotional intelligence, that respect, that keeps him adored across communities. But beyond the roles, Nicholas radiates a kind of energy that feels deeply queer-coded. His fashion sense, silk shirts, tailored suits, occasional pearl necklace, exudes confidence and fluidity. He doesn't try to look masculine or edgy. He just looks real. It's effortless. It's elegant. It's sexy without needing to scream for attention. By 2025, Nicholas has become one of the most in-demand actors in Hollywood. From The Idea of You alongside Anne Hathaway to a series of bold new projects, his career trajectory is unstoppable. But unlike many stars his age, he carries himself with restraint. He values artistry over fame, choosing roles that challenge him emotionally, not just financially. Off camera, he's just as captivating. His social media presence is minimal, his interviews thoughtful, his demeanor grounded. There's no scandal, no ego, just a man who seems completely at ease with both his light and shadow. Nicholas Galitzine may not call himself a queer icon, but to millions, he already is. His characters have given queer audiences something rare in mainstream cinema, the right to be romantic, royal, and radiant. He didn't break boundaries with rebellion. He did it with grace. Because in 2025, Nicholas Galitzine isn't just acting in love stories. He's redefining what love looks like on screen. And in doing so, he reminded Hollywood that softness isn't weakness. It's the new kind of strength. In a sea of polished Hollywood faces, Josie Totah doesn't just stand out, she commands attention. Smart, outspoken, unapologetically herself, she's the kind of star who makes people stop scrolling and start listening. In 2025, Josie isn't just one of the youngest queer talents in Hollywood, she's one of its most powerful voices. Josie's story has always been one of transformation. She started her career as a child actor, the quick-witted kid who could steal a scene with one line. But when she came out as a transgender woman in 2018, the industry didn't know what to do with her. Hollywood loves a comeback story, but not when it's real. Josie wasn't here to fit into anyone's expectations. She was here to rewrite the script. And she did. From Saved by the Bell to Glee to her boundary-pushing work in 2025's new wave of inclusive projects, Josie has become the blueprint for Gen Z stardom. Bold, beautiful, and completely in control of her narrative. While other actors perform confidence, Josie lives it. She knows her worth, and she knows her power, both on screen and off. Her interviews sparkle with intelligence and fire. "I don't want to be brave," she once said. "I just want to exist." That one line, simple but profound, became a mantra for a generation of queer youth who saw themselves in her. Because Josie isn't just visible, she's intentional. Every role she takes, every outfit she wears, every word she speaks radiates purpose. What makes her so magnetic is her balance. Confidence without arrogance, style without pretense, activism without performance. Whether she's attending the Met Gala in custom couture or clapping back at ignorance online, she does it with precision and wit. Her presence is both joyful and powerful, the perfect mix of fashion and fire. By 2025, Josie isn't chasing Hollywood's approval, Hollywood is chasing her. She's now producing her own projects, mentoring queer youth, and collaborating with major brands on campaigns that actually mean something. She's part of a generation that doesn't wait for permission to lead. They create the stage themselves. And still, beneath all the glamour, Josie remains grounded. In candid moments, she talks about the struggles of being seen, the exhaustion of representation, and the importance of rest. "I'm proud of being visible," she said in a 2025 Vogue interview, "but I'm also proud of being happy." That's the core of her power. Josie Totah didn't just break barriers. She turned them into doorways. She made being queer, young, and ambitious not a risk, but a revolution. Because when she steps into a room, you don't just see a Hollywood star, you see a future that finally belongs to its brightest voices. Josie doesn't play roles anymore. She writes them anymore. They're not just actors. They're architects of a new era. Kit Connor taught us that growing up doesn't mean giving in. Noah Schnapp proved that honesty can be louder than fame. Leo Woodall showed that mystery and softness can coexist. Nicholas Galitzine redefined what it means to be a leading man. And Josie Totah, she turned visibility into victory. Together they represent more than success. They represent freedom. A generation that isn't waiting for permission to exist beautifully, love loudly, or shine authentically. Hollywood may have built the stage, but these young stars rewrote the script. One role, one truth, one heartbeat at a time. Which story inspired you most tonight? Drop a rainbow in the comments, and don't forget to subscribe for more untold LGBTQ+ stories shaping the new Hollywood.